Okay, so what we're doing now is I've gone ahead and hired somebody to come in on the first and install the radon mitigation. I just don't have time. I've been putting a lot of hours in work and I just don't have time to do it myself. So, to get it ready, there is a vapor barrier I have to put down underneath one of the, because they wanted $425 to install a 10 by 8 vapor barrier, which just didn't make sense to me. So I have to put a vapor barrier underneath the one little addition on the house. And I just wanted to show, I am the first person to try to make reasonable shortcuts, make things easier, don't make more work for yourself than necessary, but this is just stupid. Why does anybody even bother to go through the work of doing this? Do they really think this is going to accomplish anything? Look at this. So they threw in fiberglass around here. It does absolutely nothing. This is like, why even bother? Are they really that stupid? Apparently so. I mean, you don't even have to have a degree in anything to know this isn't going to work. And it didn't settle. This is just how they put it in here. It's like, oh yeah, that's really going to help with the 5-foot gaps. Anyway, it wouldn't help anyway. So anyway, I got some great stuff, insulation. I'm spraying all the gaps. I'm going to put a 6mm vapor barrier down, and that's something we have to get done before the radon gets in. So that's what I'm doing today. And so I'm going to throw that in there. I got somebody helping me. Probably take about an hour. But got some Gorilla Tape, and we're going to get that all buttoned up. Okay, so you saw what it looked like when they basically had nothing but some fiberglass thrown in there. So what I did is pretty simple. I just got a bunch of 6mm plastic, cleaned out all the trash. Got a bunch of big sheet of 6mm plastic, some Gorilla Tape, the big 2.88 inches roll, and then I used my handy stapler that I purchased when I split my bed in half, the queen mattress in half. And so basically I took all the junk out and I took the Great Stuff spray, which the Great Stuff, we should have more left. So first thing I did was I went in, crawled inside. I used this stuff, and it's great. It's like a spray foam insulation, and then I filled it all the places I could see light escaping in the CBS block. Once I did that, then I went ahead and I lined it. I didn't take my camera and film any of this because it was messy and dirty and dark, and I didn't want to put my camera in there, but you can get the idea. It's pretty straightforward, but see, first thing I did was put the plastic in place and staple it up, and then I took the Gorilla Tape and taped everything and sealed every little corner. Now the point of this is a vapor barrier, but also radon's going to come from the soil. We have to keep this open or the water pipes in there would freeze, so it has to get some of the heat from the house, but also it was letting all kinds of heat come back in to the house from outside. So this actually has removed all that airflow, and so that helped a lot. Now what he did is then we started with the radon. Now I didn't install the radon myself. I just taped all that, and here's why I didn't install it myself, and this is where I hope this video will help you. You honestly could do this yourself, but there was some questions that I couldn't find in my research that didn't answer certain things, and I just wasn't sure about, and we have 14.1 on our radon, and so I wanted to be, well, 14 basically, the point doesn't really matter. I wanted to make sure it was just done right, because there was some things that just, in all the research I did, I wasn't finding the answers to my questions, and so I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. I didn't want to waste my time. I'm really busy, and I didn't want to do it wrong. So what we did first is, once we got this all sealed up, I'll show you how they started, where they started on this. So they drill a hole in the concrete, as you'll see. They dig out about a 2-foot pit. Ours was solid dirt. There was no gravel, no nothing. This slab was poured down on the dirt. This is a 1910 house. This slab has a stamp in it of 1972, at least for this part of it. But yeah, they just poured it onto the dirt. With that being said, now you have to seal, as you see in all the things. They have a nice little seal here is what they used. So they seal around the pipe. Everything very precise. And so they ran the pipe out. Now, the way we went in our basement is that, you know, you have to run the pipe out of the house. That's basically it. But what we've got is we have the main pipe comes from this section of the floor, and we come up here, and then we have a smaller, looks like a 2-inch, and the 2-inch comes down here, and he's tied it into the vapor barrier so that if there is any radon coming from the soil under the vapor barrier here, that's going out. Then he came across, so it comes up, he came across and went over into the other room. And let me get a light. So he came across and we put another hole here to make sure that we got enough suction. The reason why they picked this point and why they were making decisions on the holes, this is one thing that none of the videos were telling me. So this is the one thing that none of the videos were telling me. It's like, why were they deciding where to put these holes? What was the reason behind it? Well, it's pretty simple. Put the holes where you know there was existing plumbing underneath the pavement, underneath the concrete. Because there are going to be air gaps there. Because there's going to be piping there. That's going to make sure you have a better chance of airflow and negative pressure or being able to get the suction to the pipe, because if you put it in that vicinity, there's going to be other sewer pipes and there's going to be openings underneath the concrete or enough air gaps in the concrete from the other pipes that are there for sewage. So that was the big thing. It's like, where do you start with putting these pipes? Look for where your sewer system, your drainage system is going into the sewer, and that's where you start. So for example, they put one here, and the reason why is because it's by a water drain. So if the basement was to flood, it would drain out here into the sewage. Then they went ahead and put one over here in the second half, over here again, where the main septic, the main water drain goes into the septic, or actually public sewage. Again, that means there's going to be a pipe running from here to the drain on the other side. So there's definitely, if you put a pipe here sucking air, it's going to have the ability to get to a lot more places because there's pipes underneath the concrete. That is how you know where you want to start. Very good thing that no one was telling me in anything I'd read. Then once they did that, they went ahead and ran the pipe. Now I wanted the pipe to go out the side of my house because I didn't care if it was behind my house. Here's why. Cosmetically, it's going to look fine. I don't care if it's outside my house. No one can really see the side of my house. Most people want to put it at the back of the house. I've actually asked them to put it out here because I didn't want it to come down and have to run below this and run out to get to the corner. I don't want to have to put a drop ceiling down any lower than I need to when I refinish the basement. So anyway, once that's done, basically then they did the test holes, which you'll see in many videos, which were little tiny, holes in the concrete. And in their case, they just looked for cracks in the concrete and sealed those after the fact. But they look for cracks in the concrete and then test with the smoke thingy. And also they just use flame a lot too and see if the flame was getting sucked through the crack. And so they then tested everywhere on the slab, and we had suction all the way around. So that was the big secret. Where do you put these pipes? And that's the information that I wasn't finding. If you found it, great, but hopefully this will help you have a starting point. So we ran outside. Now let me show you what they did outside. All right, so here we go. And so we ran out the side and ran straight up 2 feet out of the top of the roof, roughly, I think is what they did. And they put it in this nice enclosure, which helps protect it from against the weather and just looks nicer overall. Of course, the house needs a paint job, but that's another story. And then we have clean out right here. And so we can use this to clean it out. This is something I strongly recommend. I bought this. It's like 150 bucks. You can find them on Amazon and stuff. Safety Siren Pro Series 3 Radon gas detector. Right now I'm showing you the running year average, which was 14.1 yesterday. Originally, you know, it fluctuates from a little above, a little below, but generally it's around 14.1. It's gone down 0.1 for the running year average. This has been running about 4 months since we installed and turned on the mitigation. Now, here's the 7-day average, 11.6. It'll take 7 days, unless I reset the whole thing, which I didn't want to do. It'll take 7 days for me to see really how well this mitigation system has done. But I forgot to film this ahead of time. But as I said, it was 14. It actually was 14 as well on the 17-day average. When I looked at on the 7-day average, it was about 14. It was 14.1 as well. So it's gone down on the 7-day average since yesterday when this got installed, which was basically only about 18 hours ago. It's already dropped the 7-day average from 14 to 11.6. Last night it was already down to late last night before I went to bed, it was down to 11.9. So it's dropped another 0.3. So we want to keep seeing that fall, and hopefully it'll look good after we come back to this in 7 days. The company that installed this doesn't like to use those. They want to use something more official. So we've got this, and this is a lot nicer than the one we got from the health department when we tested our other place. Alpha Energy Laboratory is just a typical radon detection kit. And I just set it there. You fill out the little card and you put your start time, and I'll show you what the card looks like. And so the only thing I filled out so far is I put the start time of when I actually set that kit in place. And you want to keep it there for 48 to 96 hours. The people here that installed the system said just keep it in for 72 or in that ballpark. So that will be sent off, and that's what they're going to use to determine whether they need to come in and do more work to get the radon down. But considering it's almost fallen 2.5 points just in 18 hours, that's pretty good. I'm hoping to see this thing continue to fall, and if not, then they'll have to do some more work. Now let's go outside. So that's the basic setup that we have here at our house. It ended up costing $1,850 roughly. This is a made in America, not a Chinese fan. So that was a little more, but also the cover cost obviously a little more, helps protect against the weather. As far as keeping the fan hot in the wintertime, keeping the fan away from elements, stuff like that, longevity, the cover is really nice for that. But my concern was, what's the fan going to do in the cold? Keep in mind you're pumping air from underneath your concrete slab that is in your basement. So that air is going to be around 55 degrees or so. So that's going to be warm air blowing through that fan. So that helps also in the wintertime. So you got a little geothermal that's actually going to keep your fan to decent temperature in the wintertime. And likewise in the summertime when it's hot out, again, the air that you're blowing through there is going to be 55 degrees. So, you know, my concern was how long do these fans last? Because I've never had a lot of luck with fans. Anyway, this particular company also gives a 10-year warranty. So So, which is nice. If the fan goes out within 10 years, they'll take care of it. So yes, I had this installed by Neighbors Heating and Cooling. Again, I was really pleased with the way the salesperson conducted himself, the guy that came in and did the estimate. I had already had another company, and I'll leave their name unmentioned, but it starts with an A. And anyway, there was another company that came in. They actually were about $400 less, but I just didn't feel comfortable with how the guy, he just seemed uninterested to be there. He wasn't very friendly. He, even though I had a lot of the information in my head and knew what was going on, he didn't take the time to explain why would we put it here, and stuff like that. And honestly, that's why I got the estimate the first time. It's like I was hoping to get some clues of how to do this, so that I knew the right way to do this before so I was going to get an estimate. And maybe that's why, maybe that's what he figured I wasn't going to do the work. But anyway, he didn't tell me what I wanted. So I went ahead and got another estimate, hoping to get more information. And this guy provided more information. But by the time I saw all the extra stuff they do as far as the case around it and stuff like that, all that stuff costs money. It's not a tremendous amount. But by the time I factor in the extra hardware and the fact that I wouldn't have to spend time doing it, and with the 10-year warranty, I just decided, I'm going to just have them do it. Plus the sales guy was so nice, I couldn't not do it. I just felt very warm and fuzzy about the whole thing. So that was Neighbors Heating and Cooling there in Des Moines. And they are the ones who installed this, and it looks really, really nice. And they all were very professional, and I'd give them a strong recommendation. But again, hopefully this information will help you if you're installing your own system, of where to start. Like I say, it's not a detailed video on actually doing the install, because there's plenty out there, but there was some missing information. Hopefully this will give you the information that was missing that you might need. It does need to be 10 feet from any window, or at least 2 feet above a window. So if it's 2 feet above the window opening, that's okay too, but it has to be at least 10 feet away if it's across from the window. Also, you need to keep in mind is it has to have a certain distance from neighbors' windows, and it has to be so far above the house. You don't have to put it above the roof. You only have to put it above the roof if the roof line is lower than the window, I think is what it was. So if you put it on the direct back of the house and you had the point, you could come off just underneath the overhang. You'd be above your everything. Again, I didn't want that because we have a bunch of little things in the back of our house. I didn't want it all there, so I picked this side of the house. It just worked best for me. But again, that would be another option you could do. So I hope you find this information helpful in addition to any other research that you've been doing online, and hopefully it'll answer some of the questions that you may have that I wasn't getting answers to. As far as the fan, this is my theory on the fan. Had I done this myself, is the one they ended up doing, they said was one step smaller than the largest. But here's the deal: if you don't know what size fan you do, do some research based on what you think how big your slab is, and whether you have just sand underneath and stuff like that. But go buy one from Home Depot. They're $189 or so. And remember, you have a 14-day return policy. So take care of the box, keep everything nice and clean, put the fan in place, use one of the digital radon things like I have down below, reset it, run it for 48 hours, and or when you first put it in, measure your suction. Do you see that you're getting enough suction? If you're not, then just go down and buy a bigger fan. You have a return policy. So if you're not sure what size fan you need to go with, and you're still unsure after you do your research, take your best guess based on your research for your house. And remember, if you get it from Home Depot or somewhere like that, you've got 14 days to take it back. But when you first put that fan in, you'll be able to see if you get suction where you need to, you'll be able to see if there's negative pressure underneath your slab when you do your tests. And then, likewise, if you have one of those digital readers like what I just showed you, reset it so in 48 hours you'll have a read on that thing. And, 48 hours is enough time to know, oh, man, I need to go with a bigger fan. The reason you wouldn't necessarily go with the bigger fan is because they wear out quicker and they use more energy. So the smaller fans, they say, last longer and of course use less energy, and so that's why you wouldn't just go with the bigger fan. So again, otherwise you just say bigger is better, just buy the bigger fan and be done with it. But there is a reason not to go with a bigger fan. So, you know, start where you think's right. Use that return policy. If it's not, use one of those digital radon detectors to see if you're getting the results you want. And then you can go down and buy the bigger fan if you think you need it after you've done your tests. So that would be my advisory on the fan itself. All right, hope this helps you. Bye. Okay, we are now on the third day, the end of the third day, and it's losing roughly about 1.5 points on average a day. It looks like. So, well, let's see, that's 9. We've lost 5 points since the afternoon of the 1st, and it's the 3rd. So we've got first to second, second to third. Oh, it's only been 48 hours. So we've lost 5 points in 2 days. So again, the radon was instantly removed once we turned the vents on, but we're seeing this meter as it averages out the last 7 days. We won't know exactly where we're at until 7 days has passed, and then it'll be an average based on what it's gotten this last week since the radon would be in. So, but it's falling at that rate. So we're looking at, is today the 4th or the 3rd? Oh, it is the 4th? Okay. So, okay. So we're losing, we've lost basically 5.2 points, 5.2 in 4 days. No, 3 days. So in 72 hours. So subtract another 5 from there, would be 6 days from now. So we'll be at 4. So by the time a week comes, we'll be probably, if it continues at the same rate, we'll be just under 4. I'd like to see better. But what I may do is, they didn't put a damper on this over here. So I may end up putting a small dampening this pipe, because frankly I don't think we need to suck as much air from this. You can hear it, and I think we need to suck less air from there and more air to the rest. So I know he had put some little holes around the pipe, and so what I'll do is also cap off the bottom so that it's just sucking out the side, and that should reduce the amount of airflow going through this pipe, increase what's going through the rest. And I won't glue it on. I won't glue it on. I will just cap it and see if that has an impact before going any further, because I'd really like to get this down to 1 or 2 at the best, at the most. So we'll see.